Well, welcome back. I'm Serena, and we're going to look at recent stories. And this one in particular, UK's Keir Starmer says ex Prince Andrew should testify before Congress over Epstein ties. So we're going to dig into that. We are also going to have a chat because we're in the later hours here in the UK, but not so late in Washington, in New York, across the pond. So we can get into some Trump stuff. Some Trump stuff. If you are new to my channel, welcome. I am somebody in the UK, in London specifically, who has been in communications and the media for more than 20 years. I started this channel to provide commentary around, initially, it was about media literacy, and slowly it developed into political commentary and analysis. Now, I have said more than once, many times, oh, I'm neutral. There's only so you can only be like so neutral. I mean, we are all humans with our subjectivity. We are biased. That's why I have merch that's called Biased. So do check out the merch. So I'm going to do my absolute best, as usual, to use sources, and I don't mean sources like ketchup. I mean sources as in where I'm getting my information from. So use those sources that are verifiable in the sense that we know where they are coming from and we know where they sit on the political spectrum. And the great thing about ground news, as you see here, you get a summary of a story and you can dig in and it will tell you exactly where it sits on the political spectrum, which is just, it's fabulous, it's great, it's just great. You want some lemons? Okay, we'll talk about that as well. So as you see, this summary over here will give you a gauge. You can see right here, see left, center, right, gives you a bias comparison. And if you'd like to know more about ground news, then all you have to do is click the link in my description, because I am an affiliate and you can get a discount on a subscription. I have the Vantage subscription, so we can talk about that a little bit later. Let's get to this story then. Welcomes are over. You are settled in. I don't have my coffee or tea with me. I will survive. Let's get to this story then. So, the UK's Prime Minister, Keir Starmer, says ex Prince Andrew should testify before Congress over Epstein ties. Now, we know that there has been a recent release of more files from the Department of Justice, the DOJ, released more on Friday. So you've got heads of state like Keir Starmer being asked to comment, especially considering it's relevant to Prince Andrew, as in that's what it's regarding. Keir Starmer, Prime Minister of the UK, has been out and about and is currently in and around China. So, China. So, this was his comment. We're going to get to it. In this episode, in this live stream, I want to speak a little bit about, for those across the pond, I want to speak a little bit about what's really going on here in the UK and how there's been a bit of a kerfuffle or kerfuffle, as Owen says. But there's been a kerfuffle in the UK, let's say, competitive political party Olympics. Let me explain. There's a new candidate who's been put forward in a constituency in Manchester, and the Green Party is looking pretty good, and Reform supporters aren't having it. So we're going to talk a little bit about that as well. Let's get to this story. So UK's Starmer says ex-Prince Andrew should testify before Congress over Epstein ties. On Saturday, he was asked, and he urged Andrew Mountbatten Windsor to testify before a US congressional committee, warning he would fail Epstein's victims if he refuses. Let's see if we can get to a clip. That should be rather useful. Following the DOJ's Friday release of 3 million files, guys. 3 million. What are your thoughts? I want to know. What are your thoughts? So following the release of them on Friday, what is your X feed looking like? It's looking pretty frightful. I wish I hadn't looked at my X feed, and as a result of that, I ended up having to have a rather unfortunate conversation about grooming and about what do you call it? Power imbalances and also elites with my teenager because we were scrolling through, well, we were hanging out and I happened to be scrolling through my ex feed and there was a video of the ex Prince Andrew with this redacted visual of, like, you see these black boxes just floating around the screen, and my teenager, who's only 15, caught sight of it and asked, wait, what is that? And I said, oh. And guess what I did? I thought, gosh, I really need some help with this. I have like a real mental drain. So I need some help. ChatGPT. I have to speak to my teenager about the Epstein files and the whole thing. Give me some appropriate bullet points. And ChatGPT, you delivered. You really helped me out. And so what it did was it basically broke down a few things. It talked about the individual. It talked about what occurred in terms of selecting and gifting and favoring young women. It talked about the power imbalance. It talked about uh, establishing trust and confusion, which then caused victims to not leave or question themselves, because there was a question that came from my teenager saying, but why didn't they leave, or why didn't they, as you would as a young vulnerable child, you would say, why didn't they call their parents? And I had to explain grooming. And obviously teenagers know what that word is, but because in the UK, especially in schools, they break this down for teenagers, for children to understand things like consent, to understand respectful relationships. That's something they're doing well. Not everyone agrees, but it's important to speak to our kids about what grooming is, what it sounds like, but what it can actually look quite innocent. So I had to break all of it down. And she was frightened, and I don't blame her. So let's look at, oh gosh, which source do I want? Oh, it does have to be Scott.
The smaller parties are backing him. Andrew, as for whether the Epstein's victims have to be the first priority, as for whether there should be an apology, that is a matter for Andrew.
Okay, so let's go back to our summary. So it's been a written statement, if you like, or it's a statement that's been written up by a journalist. So following the DOJ's Friday release of 3 million files, Department warned the dossier may include fake images or claims against Trump, complicating conclusions. Files show images and emails suggesting Andrew offered Epstein access to Buckingham Palace. Why are you all so obsessed with Buckingham Palace? Okay, continue. And appears in photos kneeling above a woman and touching her abdomen, I would say. Her abdomen, not just stomach, her abdomen. Okay, so the US Congressional Committee first requested Andrew's evidence last November. And Starmer, Keir Starmer, the UK Prime Minister, highlighted that Epstein's victims must come first amid increasing pressure, with Andrew ignoring repeated requests. So, looking beyond immediate calls, US investigators have opened probes to secure justice for Epstein's victims, while the US House Oversight Committee subpoenas Bill and Hillary Clinton as Epstein's accusers criticized the DOJ redaction on Friday. My friends, my peeps. What are your thoughts? Let's quickly have a look at if the comments are activated. They are indeed. Right, let's get to the Don Lemon story because I know you're all dying for it. You know, as Pooja said. Let's play this.
Sir Keir Starmer said, I've always said anybody who's got information should be prepared to share that information in whatever form they are asked to do that. And then he answered the question about Lord Mandelson and said, in relation to Peter Mandelson, obviously he was removed as ambassador in relation to the further information that came to light in September of last
Indeed. Okay, so now that we've closed that bit off, let's talk about Don Lemon. Okay, let's talk about Don Lemon. He's been released. If you weren't aware, he was arrested. Reports are saying because of where he was situated or the fact that he was reporting on a church event. I'd love to know. Don Lemon released from custody after arrest over church protests on January the 18th, 2026. Don Lemon and 7 others were charged over a protest at City's Church in St. Paul, signed by US Attorney General Pam Bondi. Of course, organizers, including Nakima Levy Armstrong, said the action responded to the church pastor leading the St. Paul ICE field office and recent federal agents' actions earlier this month. The indictment alleges a takeover style attack and describes steps to maintain operational secrecy, including a pre op briefing and Lemon's close proximity to the pastor to intimidate him. Media organizations and civil rights groups warn the arrests risk chilling reporting as a chief judge of the Minnesota Federal District Court found no evidence supporting arrests and defendants entered not guilty pleas. Prosecutors cite the FACE Act and the Conspiracy Against Rights law. Lemon's next court date is February the 9th in Minneapolis, and he was released on his own recognizance Friday. Is that a word? For those of you across the pond who perhaps wondered, how does this Brit, Serena, know how to pronounce Minnesota and Minneapolis? Well, you all have the late, great Shannon Doty from Beverly Hills 90210, who played Brenda, to thank for that. Yes, I grew up on 90210 when it first released. Oh, the crush I had on Luke Perry. Did you think Luke Perry and Brenda suited more than Luke and Kelly? I just couldn't get my head around that. Anyway, Brenda and Brandon, who play siblings who have moved to Beverly Hills in this 90210 fictional story that I'm sharing with you as we discuss more important matters, they were moved in this story from Minneapolis. It's the only time, that's the first time I ever heard of this place, these places beginning with M in America, and it lodged itself in my head. So Minnesota, Minneapolis, there. Now you know. So this is really, really bizarre, just really, really bizarre. But we know Trump don't like the Don Lemon, and in fact, he had something to say about lemons, didn't he? He had something to say about Don Lemon being given lemons. Something along those lines, right? So let's get to a clip because it's entertaining but disturbing. But that's politics for you, right?
Entire career covering the news. I will not stop now. In fact, there is no more important time than right now, this very moment, for a free and independent media that shines a light on the truth and holds those in power accountable. Again, I will not stop now. I will not stop ever.
I think it was Cuomo who was recording a video in his car and said, Trump, you've made a lot of money for Lemon. Don's done well out of this.
Last night, the DOJ sent a team of federal agents to arrest me in the middle of the night for something that I've been doing for the last 30 years, and that is covering the news. The First Amendment of the Constitution protects that work for me and for countless of other journalists who do what I do. I stand with all of them, and I will not be silenced. I look forward to my day in court. Thank you all.
It's crazy. Journalists in court. Who would have thunk it? This is from a day ago.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to a special edition of Katie and Norm's Legal Fight Club here on the Contrarian YouTube channel. Katie, a friend and colleague of ours, has been unjustly arrested for what appears to be one of the highest crimes possible in the Trump administration, doing journalism.
It's disgusting, Norm. The attack on the free press, the Fourth Estate, combined with the execution of people that are speaking up as protesters and opposition in the streets. We see that in autocratic regimes, don't we, Norm? We see that in places, in countries like North Korea. And, you know, we've seen it in El Salvador, Venezuela, Nicaragua. We see the disappearances of members of the press when they say things that are in opposition to this administration. But the absurd thing is, Norm, that just reporting, you know, being a part of free speech, First Amendment, apparently offends this administration so much that they...
Indeed. Well, let's get to a story. This is on CDN, former CNN anchor arrested at a Minnesota church protest. And here, Washington, the Trump administration said Friday it ordered the arrest of a prominent journalist over coverage of immigration protests in Minneapolis, as a U.S. president branded a nurse shot dead by federal agents in the city an agitator. The arrest of former CNN anchor Don Lemon came as President Donald Trump walked back his conciliatory tone following public outrage over the killings of Alex Pretty and another American citizen in the Minnesota city. Attorney General Pam Bondi said that Lemon and several other people had been arrested at my direction on unspecified federal charges in connection with what she called a coordinated attack on the city's church in St. Paul, the twin city of Minneapolis. Attack on journalists. Lemon, now an independent journalist, was among reporters who covered a protest at the church where an official with the Immigration and Customs Enforcement Agency is a pastor. Lemon's lawyer said he was taken into custody in Los Angeles overnight, adding that his work covering the protest was no different to what he has always done. This is an egregious attack on the First Amendment and on journalists' ability to do their work, said Committee to Protect Journalists CEO Jody Ginsburg, referencing the constitutional right to free speech. Political figures also condemned Lemon's arrest, with Democratic House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries calling for his immediate release. Civil rights probe Trump, a Republican, took to Truth Social, meanwhile, to describe Pretty, the 37-year-old nurse gunned down on Saturday, as an agitator and perhaps insurrectionist. Alex Pretty's stock has gone way down with the just released video of him screaming and spitting on the face of a very calm and under control ICE officer, Trump wrote. That wasn't me, that's Trump. Footage shared online this week reportedly shows Preti in a scuffle with federal agents 11 days before he was shot dead. AFP could not immediately verify the footage, in which a man said to be Preti is seen kicking and breaking the taillight of the agent's car before they emerge and tackle him to the ground. One moment, just got to quickly check my live stream settings. Unfortunately, I think there was an interruption, so just got to quickly check everything is a-okay. Wouldn't want your experience to be ruined due to unforeseen technical issues. I think we're good. Let me know in the comments. Cliff Webb says Lemon is not a journalist, he's a partisan political propagandist. Fair dinkum, as they say, down under. You have your say. So, the U.S. Justice Department has opened a civil rights investigation into Preti's death. Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche told reporters Friday the White House had scrambled to stem widespread criticism over Preti's killing, which came weeks after Renee Good, another US citizen and mother of 3, was fatally shot by agents in Minneapolis. Government shutdown. Trump had claimed he wanted to de-escalate a little bit in the fallout of the killings and appointed a new point man in Minneapolis, Border Chief Tom Homan. Meanwhile, Homan said that certain improvements could and should be made, a marked difference in tone from his predecessor on the ground, combative Border Patrol Commander Greg Bovino. Moreover, he said his staff was working on a drawdown plan for some of the more than 3,000 federal agents if there was greater cooperation from the local authorities in the Democratic-run city. On the other hand, the 2 agents involved in Preti's shooting have been placed on leave, and Homan said any federal agents who breach standards of conduct will be dealt with. But backlash over the deaths of Preti and Good has landed in Congress, with the Senate edging closer to a vote on Friday to limit the effects of a government shutdown set to begin at midnight. Democrats have drawn a red line around funding for the Department of Homeland Security, demanding it be stripped out and renegotiated to impose new constraints on immigration enforcement agencies. I welcome your thoughts. Of course, I welcome your thoughts because that's what the comment section is all about. So we've covered. What did we start with? We started with what UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer had to say about the ex-Prince Andrew and how Keir Starmer believes that Andrew Mountbatten Windsor should testify in order to help the victims. Okay, we covered that. We then looked at this Don Lemon story, and unfortunately, I couldn't find the bit about Trump telling Lemon something about lemons. So I'm going to do a quick search on X because I think that might be enough for us to have a bit of a scoff and a chuckle, you know? What's this? TMZ's Harvey Levin goes nuclear on Trump over the arrest of Don Lemon. What do we think of TMZ? What do we think of TMZ?
On Lemon. So the Trump administration wonders why people are saying that they are trying to form a dictatorship. Well,
oh, sorry.
Why people are saying that they are trying to form a dictatorship? Well, look at the landscape. Arresting Don Lemon, who covered a protest in Minneapolis, is just insane, ridiculous, dictator-like. This is the playbook that dictators use to destroy democracies and take the will of the people away. It is as simple as that. The First Amendment is the First Amendment for a reason. It is considered the preferred amendment when you have to start balancing what's more important. The framers of the Constitution knew that a free press was essential to a democracy. Without a free press, you don't have a democracy. And it's real clear that Donald Trump and company doesn't want a free press. The idea that a journalist, which Don Lemon has been for 30 years, would walk into a church and film a demonstration which is of national interest, and then to say somehow, when you watch the video, they say he's part of the protest. Watch that video. He is covering the protest. He is covering it. That's what journalists do. I covered riots. I was a local reporter in Los Angeles for 15 years, and I covered riots and floods and earthquakes and all sorts of things where I had to step into areas where there were police, where there was activity, private property. When you're covering an event like this, like a protest, which I've covered many, you step into it. And that's what journalists do. And that's what Don Lemon did. The idea that the Justice Department is saying he walked onto private property, that is insane. A church invites everybody in. Have you ever seen a church with a no trespassing sign saying no journalists allowed? Have you ever seen any house of worship that says that? It is insane that they're making this stupid argument, transparent. And yet, a grand jury indicted Don Lemon after a magistrate said there's insufficient evidence. Well, a grand jury will indict anybody because Don Lemon doesn't appear before the grand jury. Abby Lowell, his lawyer, doesn't appear before the grand jury. The Justice Department says what the Justice Department wants the grand jury to believe, and almost every time they believe it. It's all the way it's skewed. This is a ridiculous assault, and I don't want to say just on the First Amendment. It's a ridiculous assault on democracy. Trump administration should be ashamed of itself, but they're not.
Okay. Let's look at this clip. It might be from a few days ago, but just for some context.
The people are trying to protect because all ICE wants to do is get them out. So this is what the people are trying to protect because all ICE wants to do is get them out of our country. Bring them to prisons and jails and mental institutions from where they came. That's all they want to do. They're patriots, and they have to be abused by guys like Don Lemon, who's a loser, lightweight. I saw him the way he walked in that church. It was terrible. I have such respect for that pastor. He was so calm. He was so nice. He was just accosted. What they did in that church was horrible yesterday.
Yeah, it was horrible. And as we pointed out yesterday, according to Harmeet Dillon, it might be criminal, actually, because it is not your protected First Amendment right to free speech to go into a place of worship. And that's exactly what Don Lemon did while pretending to be a journalist as he's acting as an activist, getting in the face of the pastor. And this is what they do. They think they are so freaking self-righteous that they have a right to interrupt people as they worship on a Sunday. And I would be saying the same thing whether this was a temple or a mosque or anything else. And by the way, if it was a mosque and it had been a bunch of white people that walked in, we know that Don Lemon would be calling them racist. Pointing out the hypocrisy often is sort of pointless. Yeah, I mean, this image right there, I mean, I think this just captures it. Just think about that father with that kid right there in the front. And the mother appears to be the mother, maybe a sister, with her hand on the kid. Like, they're terrorizing these people. They came there to worship. We have no idea what their feelings are on immigration or anything else. They were doing something that is far above and more lofty than politics. So you guys, congratulations, Lemon and the rest of you. You probably radicalized a bunch of them.
So this is what the people are trying to protect because...
Gosh, what do you think of that? I mean, I'm not surprised that Rubin has some scathing comments to make about Don Lemon, but geez Louise. Again, welcome your thoughts. I know there are many who aren't fans of Don Lemon and his journalism, but does this make sense to you? It sure as hell doesn't make sense to me, guys. Really doesn't. Serena, where did that accent come from? I have no idea. Never done it before. Never have I ever. Let's look at this. This is 8. Oh, no, I can't go to this one. I'll show you what I mean. I'm scrolling through my ground news, right? And I'm like, yeah, let's click on this. Hold up. Wait a minute. This one's published by Tim Cast. I don't think so. Also, this will tell you this is low factuality and it's right, leaning right. And this is leaning right also, but mixed factuality. We want very high factuality. But unfortunately, then it says lean left. I want something center with high factuality. And sometimes I'll go left or right as long as it's very high factuality. Let's just go to this, shall we? Let's see. Oh no, I've already read it. Just come on, Serena, you're too smart for this. So, ooh, people don't like lemon. People don't like lemon. What else is going on X? Retweet if you stand with lemon. I'm scared to go through my X feed on a live with you because I have been quite shocked at things that pop up on my feed. But this is a search, so it's fine. I think it'll be fine. What's this? Who's this? The Trump administration has systematically targeted the free and fair press. Hakeem Jeffries, let's listen.
Trump administration has systematically targeted the free and fair press because they want to intimidate America and oppose anyone who is not willing to bend the knee to their extremism. We are not going to be intimidated at all. The free and fair press is central to the foundation of American democracy. Thomas Jefferson famously made that clear, that he would prefer a country that had newspapers over government as opposed to governments over newspapers. This is central to who we are as a country. And so Don Lemon, we know, is an accomplished journalist who was doing his job as part of the free and fair press. There's no legitimacy, no basis to Don Lemon's arrest, no basis to the arrest of the other journalists, and the American people are not going to stand for it. And House Democrats are going to stand up for them. And the rights of the free and fair press as central to American democracy and our values in terms of who we are.
But how?
What do you say to that? What do you say to that? There's more.
We're not taking oath to a tribe. We're not taking oath
This is good morning, happy Saturday to everyone who agrees that in the wake of Trump arresting
to a religion.
journalist critics like Don Lemon, it's time for a helpful reminder. We don't take an oath to a wannabe dictator. This is still Morocco. Damn it. Okay, let's play.
We don't take an oath to a king or a queen or to a tyrant or a dictator. And we don't take an oath to a wannabe dictator. We don't take an oath to an individual. We take an oath to the Constitution, and we take an oath to the idea that is America, and we're willing to die to protect it. We don't take an oath.
Jeez. That was pretty strong. Do you stand with Don Lemon? I want to know. Who's this? Ahmed Barber. What are you saying? You're saying, I just spoke to Don Lemon in one of our recent weekly Substack lives about the Trump admin targeting him. He was fearless and said he stood by his reporting in the First Amendment. We all have to speak out, especially journalists. This is unacceptable, unconstitutional.
Everybody's like concerned, and thank you for, sending, people are texting, you texted or whatever. I'm fine. You know me, I'm a soldier. I'm totally fine. I stand by my reporting, and I stand by the First Amendment. So, everything else from there is just noise.
Yeah, I don't know how much you could talk about it, but I will say from my perspective on this, I think he tried to use you as an example. I think and all it's really doing is rallying more people behind your work. And, it's intimidation tactics. They don't want people to really be pushing back, protesting, or more importantly, doing the work you're doing on the ground, independently reporting on what's happening. You weren't involved in any of it. So just want to say we're all with you, man. And, we all got your back no matter what happens next.
I have never seen so much support. I have never had so many attorneys, civil rights.
See, Cuomo was right. You've done Lemon. I was going to say Lomond. You've done Lomond a favor. You've helped him out. He's going to make a lot of money. A lot. He's going to make a lot.
Rights, First Amendment, whatever, approach me, like all kinds of people. It was just, and then it made you remember what, what's important in this country, what's worth fighting for, and and it reconfirms my belief in the First Amendment in our Constitution, even when people are disobeying the Constitution. It's sort of similar to however you feel about whatever religion it is. Just because others are not obeying and going by those tenets, that doesn't mean that you shouldn't,
You were doing something important, and I just got to give you props for that. Like it's legit, no joke. You went there and you were on the ground reporting on what's happening, reporting on the movement and the protests, and it's the real stuff that this administration doesn't want to be seen. And you were doing the right thing, and they can sit there and try to do whatever they do or target you or target these other protesters, but it's just chest beating. It's baseless, and got mad respect for what you did out there and what you do, man.
Okay. Haywaz in the comments saying this is Serena's third stream this year, or maybe you're counting you're just thinking about 2025. Actually, there have been others, you've missed them, but thank you for joining. David says, I just had to quickly read the comment before I post it. Let me just make sure it's all fine. Yeah, because sometimes the things that come up in these comments. David says, if he truly has nothing to hide, he should have gone to the US Congress when the allegations first came to light, as his constant denials are a statement of guilt until he proves otherwise. Thanks for that, David. I asked for your thoughts and you're sharing them. Let's continue. And then I really want to talk to you about the Green Party and why Reform's UK supporters are up in, it's just quite convenient or telling. It's revealing how they are piling on this working class female candidate. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. Let's see. There's another comment, and it's our resident scientist was saying some will get thrown under the bus, the Mr. Biggs will get away scot-free. Like I said, I really do appreciate you guys jumping in the comments and sharing your thoughts, even questions. We like questions. So here's Don Lemon says journalists at CNN, CBS, and other news organizations need to grow a spine and push back against corporate influences. I mean, not every one of the journalists has always felt comfortable or has spoken up until needs must, right?
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Lemon Live at 5, except it's Lemon Live at 5 Pacific Coast time, Pacific time. Thank you so much for joining this evening on a Friday. Sorry, I'm 3 hours late for the 5 o'clock show, but, I had some things that I had to do today. But in all seriousness, I am fine. I am doing well, and I appreciate all of your love and your support. I really do, more than anything. The only job or profession that is protected in the Constitution, I believe, and in the very First Amendment, is a job that I do, is a job that I have, and so many journalists around the world. So this is a moment for journalists, I believe, around the world, and I am so grateful to everyone who has voiced their support, who has put out statements, who has reached out to me, who has said, whatever you need financially, whatever support that you need. It has been overwhelming. And I do think right now that people
just want to get to the point. Okay, I get bored, so I'm bored now. So let me just quickly show you some Bitcoin news before I go to the next story. Bitcoin falls below $80,000, baby. Continuing decline as liquidity worries mount. Do you hodl? Let me know. On Jan 31st, Bitcoin tumbled below the US $80,000 mark during the New York trading session, hitting levels last seen in April 2025 and deepening a drawdown that erased more than 30% of its value. Spot ETF outflows and liquidity strains drove much of the pressure as thin liquidity and limited buying interest, plus concern over Kevin Walsh. I don't know who these people are. next Fed chair. It's down. It's down. Lemon's come back up. He's risen again. And that's what you all wanted. Trump, you didn't want that. Surely you didn't want to make a martyr out of him. So Green Party candidate is Hannah, and Reform don't like you. Reform really don't like. So if you're across the pond, right? If you're across the pond, then you will hear, "Oh, UK's in such a mess. Borders. It's just, people running riot," and it's not. We have political change. Yes, the usual two-party structure, because we have an electoral system that has a first past the post voting system. And so you end up having two dominant parties. There have been some exceptional cases where a coalition has formed, and either one, so you have the Conservatives, the Tories, and you have the Labour Party, who's traditionally working class and they're currently in government. They might form a coalition with the Liberal Democrats. But the Green Party are coming up, as is Reform UK. Reform UK have positioned themselves as centre right, but they're right. And, they attract quite the right, as in right-leaning sentiment, but in terms of their policies, they sound a lot like Conservatives, who traditionally centre-right, but the new party leader, Kemi Badenoch, seems to be favouring a right-leaning position, right? So, right. So what does that leave you with? You've got the Labour Party in government, which isn't really, it's been argued, looking out for the working class interest. And they currently have a big majority. The opposition is the Conservatives. They unfortunately messed up for many years in government, so people aren't really loving them. Reform wants to replace the opposition, if not be in government. And then you got the Green Party. They're coming up. I'm coming up. I want the world to see. Do. Reform is coming up. So Reform's coming up. No, sorry, not Reform. Green Party. My bad. Green Party. It's a good thing I'm not well known. It's a good thing I'm not a big creator, because somebody could clip that and I'd be done for. People would be like, "Oh, Serena votes Reform." So Green Party. Now, if you're across the pond, clearly about the popularity of Mamdani in New York, right? So similarly, socialist-y type left figure Zach Polanski, who is the leader of the Green Party, is really he's very good. He's great. He's good. He's great with communication. He's great with content. Let's make the content. He is really good with content. And like Mamdani, who isn't just reserving his elite content for campaign time, he's one, and he's still making educational content to really connect with his constituents. So too is Zach Polanski pretty good at the content and the communication game. He's able to hold people in power to task, question them on debate panels in the media. He gives great speeches. He's suffered all kinds of criticism. So I've given you a little bit of background, okay? And Kickman says Bitcoin is a scam anyways, and says Bitcoin only destroys the power of the people, unlike what it claims to be doing. That's right. I guess. So Green Party are coming up in the ranks, and their membership, sort of political party membership, is growing. Reform UK are arguing that they are growing. In polls, they look like they might be coming up stronger than the existing traditional party, Labour and Tories, right? Okay. Lots of context, lots of background. But remember, Nigel Farage is not a prime minister. He's a member of parliament. just need to get people, can you just get that clear? Can we just get that clear? We have a Labour government. So, you've got Republicans and Democrats, right? So we've got the, I suppose, Democrat equivalent. It's not really. Labour Party. And the leader of the Labour Party is Keir Starmer. He's Prime Minister. Are we sorted? The opposition is like your equivalent, as in our equivalent of the Republican side, which is the Conservatives, but they did not do well. They're not doing great. And Kemi Badenoch is the new leader. Okay, have we got that squared? You've got hundreds of members of parliament, hundreds, because they've all got to represent constituencies, as in parts of the country. Each constituency votes for a member of parliament, and then whoever has the most has the majority. Okay, we squared that. Reform UK, up until recently, only had something like 3 or 4, compared to hundreds. They've had some defections from the Tory party. That is members of parliament who've been elected as Tories and Conservative MPs, as ministers, members of parliament. They've decided, even though their constituents voted for them as Tory/Conservative, they've decided to leave the Conservative Party and move on over. Move on up, or is it down? We don't know. To Reform UK, which has given Reform UK a few more MPs. All of that out of the way. So just so you know, like, people think, like, from X, if you listen to Elon Musk, you would think that Nigel Farage was our prime minister. He ain't. Some will say, Serena, he will be. Let's just more context. Just had to give you a lot. Now, let's move to the Green Party. So Zach Plansky is the party leader. He's not an MP. He's not been elected yet for anything. And it's probably not a smart move for him to go for any kind of elected office just yet. You don't want to lose anything right now when you're doing so well. So continue being a badass on the contents and the communications and just taking people to task and sort of representing. So lesson continues. So you know how I was talking to you about there's different parts of the country, as in constituencies. You call them boroughs, but we call them boroughs, let's say. So now and then, because we have a general election every 4 or 5 years, it's 4 or 5 years, yeah. Now and then, there is a by-election. And by-election means like a midterm, if you like. And it's only for those seats where a member of parliament has had to resign or got sacked. You're fired. You're fired. And what's happened? There is a borough in Manchester called Gorton and something. Remember, I'm a Londoner. I'm very insular. I don't know about all the boroughs in the UK, okay? But Gorton and something or other, we'll get to it, in Manchester. And there's Gorton and Denton, okay? And so there is a by-election. And so all the parties are now having to put up a candidate. So each party, you've got the Greens, Reform, Labour, Tories. Have Lib Dems got a candidate? And the Green Party candidate is Hannah Spencer. And guess what she does for a living? She's a plumber. And she's also a kindred spirit, because the next thing she wants to learn is plastering, as do I. I want to plaster. Let me quickly go to the comments, because you may have some fatigue from all this education. Waz is saying the UK is a sinking ship. Don't say that. You're only sounding like Musk in the comments. Anyone wanted to govern this shipwreck must be... Elon, get out of my comment section. So, here we have Councillor Nick Hartley from the Green Party says, that's a bit rich. I've never seen him in that Asda when I'm doing my big shop. Green Party. Answering comments from Reform's candidate who sneers about the Greens from his GB News. So GB News is a right-leaning media outlet channel, right? And Waz is saying, don't forget the Workers' Party. Yes, I'm fine. forgot to mention. And so GB News favours Reform UK, favours any right-leaning party, okay? It's kind of like Fox News, And so they are piling on. They're making up, from the rumours I've heard, is that, oh, she's got a scientist as a husband. What? Because she can't be a successful political candidate on her own. You need to give her a scientist as a husband. Or is her partner a scientist? Like, who cares? Like, does it matter? No, okay, it doesn't. But here we have Hannah. She is cool, okay? She's a cool, articulate, connecting, charismatic, cool lady, okay? She's a really cool person from what I see. Remember, I'm kind of apolitical, but I'm leaning more towards Greens. That's right, I said it. Okay, so this is the thing that really irks me. There are things about Kemi Badenoch that I like. It's because she talks like engineering speak, and I enjoy engineering speak. I like talking about first principles, and I like talking about sort of objective things, because otherwise everything is just so political and slogany. But I know she gets that way as well. They all get that way because the whole system's broken. But if I would say I would take some of Kemi Badenoch's logic and Green Party, what's his face, Zach Polanski's kind of ability to connect and care about all sort of sections of society, and mix that with, oh, who else do I like? Oh, this is a good one. I'll do a separate stream about this. So let's get to this. So Green candidate Hannah Spencer faces by-election scrutiny over posts and background. Spencer's 34, steps into the February 26th by-election after Labour MP Andrew Gwynn resigned for health reasons, facing a tight race. Okay, so Green New Deal Rising says we're proud to endorse Green candidate Hannah Spencer in the Gorton and Denton by-election. A young local councillor standing up to the far right. Spencer, in the Gorton and Denton by-election, she's defending our NHS and schools. NHS is the National Health Service, and putting climate and justice first. Reform divides. Labour is out of touch. Hannah is one of us. And here you go, Hannah Spencer. Just, relatable, I suppose. Let's listen to
Westminster, the Houses of Parliament. Leaky roofs, crumbling walls. I think they need a plumber and a plasterer, and we happen to have one woman who can do both. It is my absolute privilege, it's always an honour, to introduce candidates to the stage. But this, for me, isn't just a candidate. This is a close friend. This is a special person who I know is going to represent us amazingly on the national stage. Please welcome to the stage Manchester's first Green MP, or soon to be, Hannah Spencer!
So hello, my name is Hannah Spencer. I didn't grow up planning on being a politician.
I've got a whole separate video about this just in case you were wondering. And Waz is very much loving the Green Party. Haha. Is that Mr. Bean? I don't know. Sometimes Mr. Bean kind of pops out.
To university to study politics. I'm a plumber here in Manchester.
So you get the picture, right?
Serve a seat wherever the decisions are being made. The shiny halls of Westminster will no longer be hogged by the elite. We will fill those benches with tradespeople, with cleaners, with nurses, with taxi drivers, with anyone who has always been shut out. Because it starts with us here in the place that I call home.
So I think you're getting the picture. So this is unfortunately now a target for Reform supporters who really don't want a candidate to be a real contender for their Reform candidate. And it looks like she is.
So these flags I'll say this, that took effort. Those flags go for miles. They're all evenly spaced. They're all the same height. And I know from working up a ladder, like fitting gutters and boiler flues and whatnot, like that is not easy. And so if you're using your time and your tools and your practical skills because you want your country back, please come and join the rest of us who are actually trying to get our country back. Come and volunteer at our monthly clean-ups. Come and join the gardening group. Come and fix the broken fencing that needs repairing. Come to the community arts centre that helps so many people but that always needs volunteers. Like, come and do all of those things that will actually get our country back. Because if you've got the time, the tools and the skills, and at the moment you're just putting flags up, please give your head a little wobble and then come and join the rest of us who are actually trying to get our country back.
I love that. Give your head a little wobble. Give your head a little wobble. I do enjoy that. So let's hear a little bit about what people think this is.
Pre-MP or soon to be head of Denver.
It feels incredible. We have a system where local members decide who our candidate is, and to get the backing of so many people here, I'm so honoured and I'm so proud. I plan to.
And then Zetaplansky said, we promised to throw the kitchen sink at this election. Well, we've definitely voted for the right candidate with the skills for the job. Hannah and the Greens are taking the fight to reform. So, yeah, I mean, promising. It's, when you say you want a candidate who's going to be a breath of fresh air. Now, this is for a constituency that I don't live in. This isn't let's say, the leader of a party. But what it does signal is this need to have people who aren't divisive and that you can relate to and who relate to the working class. So this is really interesting. It's interesting because, and Waz really isn't a fan, because he thinks that anyone who votes for Green are people who want windmills and solar farms. And I don't think that's true. I think people are gravitating towards this party not just because they want windmills. I think it's because they appreciate political leaders to speak plainly and not in a divisive way. We have a lot of dishonesty in politics, and the ones who say they are being honest, they tend to do that sort of, what is it called, motivated reasoning, where they're using their intelligence to essentially defend a conclusion they've already reached, right? So they are already framing things going on in society in such a divisive way that it leads you down one conclusion, one path, which just doesn't make sense for society. It's not leading to more social cohesion, it's doing the opposite. And so I find the majority of Reform UK politicians and representatives tend to have that style of speaking which just leads to more division. I don't particularly like the other established parties because of their political speak, the jargon, and it not sounding clear, being clear. I definitely wouldn't regard myself as being a lefty, but what I do appreciate about the Green Party so far is that with Zach Polanski and others, they are just speaking clearly without sounding hateful. They are articulating the pain points in society without dividing anyone. And I appreciate that part because it is important to talk about what's not working for many in society without pushing them down a blame game, zero-sum game, hateful, divisive road, which divides them even more. And it's just, we've got enough of that. We've got enough of that. I don't want more of that. Waz says if she gets elected, attempts to speak the truth, she'll last a few weeks. And we also know that it doesn't matter which party you belong to when you are campaigning, you can say a lot. It's when you're in government, when you're actually in a position of power, where you are tested. And how much you can challenge the status quo, well, that's up to your masters, isn't it? It's up to your masters. I've really appreciated you being on this live stream with me. I know I don't do them often, but juggling a lot, doing a lot, and haven't been particularly well. This has probably been my first day, and I'm kind of doing that Zoom thing where you're presentable, shoulder up, and then shoulders up, and then you're kind of in sweats. But not in. I'm doing a Piers Morgan. I'm doing a Piers Morgan. Although, even though he's convalescing and recovering from surgery, from having a hip surgery, the photograph, sorry, pardon me, the photograph that he shared on his YouTube feed of him recording from home, he was still wearing trousers. Why aren't you wearing sweats, man? Wear sweats. Be cozy, be comfortable, and get into some martial arts. Get into some yoga where you've got to do some real body resistance. This is the thing about the style of weight, so the style of exercise and training that people do. It doesn't necessarily protect you in your later elder years from falling and from protecting your bones and keeping everything nice and compact, because you're doing isolated moves with weights machines, and it's like everything's working in silos. Whereas if you do something much more integrated, like martial arts, or like something vigorous like yoga, because yoga can be vigorous, the great thing about that is that you are holistically challenging and moving your body. It's great for core strength. The reason why older people like to do yoga, even chair yoga, is they're working on their core, and it stops them from falling, or at least if you're going to fall, you won't fall as hard. So it's really important for your later years in health, and take it. I mean, I'm a yoga teacher. I've been qualified for more than 15 years now, and I still teach now and then privately. I used to teach at one point full time, and practicing myself, and I still do every day. I know the difference from, if I don't do a daily plank and the downward dogs and the various postures that you do when you're really challenging your spine. So when you're in downward dogs or these kinds of inversion sort of positions, or in a plank, you're challenging your core stability muscles. Everything's integrated, and you're moving in unison with your breath. That kind of the benefits you get from that, you just can't from things like, let's just do some bicep curls. You just can't. And even if you're doing heavy weights, how much are you moving? How much are you moving your whole body holistically in an integrated way? So I find when I just don't do those basic things every day that challenge my entire body in an integrated way, then I start to lose core strength, and it happens really quickly. So it's like, come on now, let's do a plank challenge. All of you, let me know in the comments. Have you done your 1 minute plank today? And if you can only do 20 seconds, amazing. Build up to 30, build up to 40. Let's share in the comments, and I'll do a post every week as well. Let's do plank challenges. Let's do other fitness challenges. Let's start with the plank challenge. Let's see if you take it up with me. Yeah. So let's do a plank challenge. Share your progress. It doesn't have to be photos or anything of that nature. Just put it in the chat. I have a community area. You can always post it there as well. And you can always join the channel. We can chat some more. I'm on Patreon. I have another channel called Serena's Playbook, which you absolutely should check out. Guess what? Guess what? You don't know, do you? So Serena's Playbook is all about leveling up your strategic thinking, and I'm using my 20 plus years of communications experience and strategic thinking work, consulting work to help you, whether you're a creator, an entrepreneur, a student of comms, somebody in the media who's interested in reputation management. And I'm helping you level up your strategic thinking. And at the moment, I'm just under 400 subs, right? No, I'm over 400 subs, sorry. I'm coming close to 450. And it's not been long. It's not been long. Guess what? My watch time, fam, my watch time has doubled, if not tripled, in recent weeks. And that's not just because I'm uploading regularly, but I'm uploading a real range of short, medium, and long form content. And it really is about watch time. We all look at the vanity metrics. Wow says, no planks here, waits for me. Do both. Come on now. So, we've got the vanity metrics. We all look at the subs. But if you want to get paid and if you want long sort of term success, then it is about watch time. For YouTube creators, we've got a back end. It's called the YouTube Studio. And in the back end, you can access insights about your channel and how it's going. And you can even export your metrics so that you can supply it to a sponsor, brand partner, and they can see exactly what the deal is, because they're not just interested in the vanity metrics like how many subscribers or followers you have. They want to see how long do you keep people on your videos, the watch time, the retention, what are the topics that they enjoy, all this kind of thing. Watch time is it. Keeping people engaged. It's a real skill. And I recall when I first started my streaming experience, and I was on here and on Twitch simultaneously. And if you remember right at the start, I used to struggle after 20, 30 minutes. And now I can go past an hour. And you see me on shorts. I hate shorts. I end up watching for hours. Ha ha ha. Thanks, Waz. Have you seen me on shorts on this channel as well as Serena's Playbook? So I remember it was sometimes just easier to record a video and upload it. But then you just didn't get the engagement and you didn't get the challenge of having to just speak on the spot and knowing that you're live and anyone's jumping on, and sometimes the numbers go up and sometimes they go down. But it trains you. It's a real skill to be streaming. Khalis Sad says shorts are hella addicting. You're an American. Because Brits definitely don't say addicting. No, they are, though. They are, because once you scroll, you can't stop. It's kind of like a Pringle. Tell me, do you prefer YouTube Shorts, Instagram Reels, or TikTok? And how is your TikTok experience now that there's been a change? There's been a change in the States. I'm interested. So when you're streaming, it is really challenging to keep people's attention. You're looking at the number of how many people are watching you. You sometimes get a bit disheartened when the number goes down. It's like, oh, don't go, what did I say? But there's a bit of a lag. It doesn't always tell you. So people join, it won't tell you immediately. And sometimes they leave and they won't tell you, you won't know immediately. Khalisad says, I'll do the plank challenge along with you. Woohoo! Yes. Let me know in the comments every day. Come back every day. Let me know. Done my plank today, and it'll be good accountability for all of us. I'll incorporate a longer plank in my daily, within my daily yoga routine. That'll be really cool. So Serena's playbook, if you see here, I have many playlists. So we've got the creator economy news, longer form, personal. So I've got a little series here. It's like 3 videos. It's called The Case for Depth, and about how we all need to go deep. And we are all suffering from cognitive rot. We're just talking about watching shorts all the time. And we need to go a bit analog or be happy to watch something that's long form. So that's what that's about. I've got 5 days of PR. I give public relations tips in 5 videos for anyone who's a beginner to PR. I've got political patterns. So this is called current affairs, and it's about, even if you don't think you're political, what are the kind of political patterns you can spot from current affairs and how that actually improves your critical thinking. And I use my background in systems thinking there as well. I talk about PR and politics and how you can learn a lot about PR from politics. I've done reactions here as well. Segments from Serena Sayed streams. Oh, is that there? That's interesting. Have I got that? I've got 1 video there. On only creators, this is for artists. I've got a playlist just for artists. I have one all about YouTube. I have got 5 days of PR. Oh, I think I've just repeated that. I've got business hours, so talking about communications and other topics that are relevant to those who are running businesses. Khalid says, I'm British but watch too many Americans. You do, to be saying addicting. I've got a whole playlist just about branding. Okay, so then the other great thing about Serena's playbook is that I've got 7 strategic zones, and I use these 7 strategic zones, these 7 lenses, to apply to any, let's say, reputational, branding, marketing, communications issue. And so the 7 separate lenses, I call them strategic zones, there's playlists for. So one is about strategic self-awareness, one is about interdependencies and stakeholder mapping, the other one is about risk and reputation, and there's media literacy and zeitgeist awareness, there's your engagement system and content architecture, there's your North Star, your value compass, and then reflexivity and your mindset. And I've got 7 separate playlists, and I go deep. And then there's a podcast there called Think with Serena. So that's what Serena's playbook is about. And the watch time, like I said, it's doubled, it's tripled. And people, honestly, just being a smaller creator, if you like, I recall when I first started being so concerned about vanity metrics, the amount of likes, please like, and shares and all that kind of thing, but definitely subscriber count, especially when you're looking to get monetized. You need to get over 1,000, right? And then 4,000 watched hours within a 12-month period. And it is easy to get really obsessed about those vanity metrics. But when you are able to keep people on a live stream and it's a handful and they're sticking with it, it feels good. And then when you look at the back end, the YouTube metrics, the YouTube studio metrics, and you're like, okay, watch time has gone up and it's on an upward trajectory, because it will tell you with a green arrow, or at least explain to you when you've had highs and where you have lows. It's just really revealing. And so watch time really is where it's at, how much people are watching of each thing. And as we know, subscriber counts, follower counts won't matter as much, because we know that our algorithms, the feeds that we have, the way that they're curated is not necessarily according to who we follow and whom we are subscribed to. So I really do appreciate when people stick on a live stream and we chat lots. And I remember when I first started this streaming channel, I would do really long waffles at the end. And now I'm obviously speaking about a particular subject, but it's kind of like a waffle. And it's, again, you learn so much because you are speaking to people who aren't always commenting, but they're there, they're watching, they're sticking with it. So what have we covered in this stream? I first spoke about how Sir Keir Starmer, the UK Prime Minister, was asked about Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, and this is after the Department of Justice have released more Epstein files, and Sir Keir Starmer said that Andrew should testify in order to help the victims. We talked about Trump and how he really cannot stand Don Lemon. We watched some clips about Don Lemon and protecting the First Amendment, etc. And then I gave you a little bit of education on the Green Party and reform and the UK political sort of voting system, the way it's chopped up and how it's all chopping everything up. And then, a bit of YouTube. And then Waz is saying, can you speak about the upcoming war? I don't know what you're talking about. What are you talking about? What are you saying? I have no idea what you're talking about, she says, as she types in 4 letters. Iran. Franco from Buenos Aires, Latin America. Hello, welcome. We are in your time zone, right? Well, I think what I meant to say is this is definitely non-UK time zone friendly because it's afternoon, evening for y'all. If I have a quick look at Iran, Iran is ready for fair talks with the US, but not on defense. What's going on in the UK today? It was raining a bit where I am, and it's still a little bit cold, and it's not quite spring, and X isn't always a good representation of what's really going on here. Okay, so don't listen to everything. Don't believe everything that Elon Musk posts. Please, God, don't. Please don't. Waz is saying what's going on in the UK? Nothing. We're broke. Please join the channel. By the way, I have supers. You can always go for it. So let's share this tab instead then. Iran's ready for fair talks with the US, but not on defense. Iran wars against conducting unsafe military. Let's go to I'm so sorry, I had to stifle a yawn there. Iran ready for fair talks with the US, but not on defense capabilities. On Jan 30th, Iran's chief diplomat Abbas Araghchi said Iran is ready to resume talks with the US if they are fair and exclude Iran's defense capabilities, adding no talks are currently arranged. In recent weeks, US-Iran tensions rose after a bloody crackdown on protests inside Iran, and US moves, including a carrier strike group, intensified diplomatic friction over missile program curbs. Warning that a strike could escalate, Abbas Araghchi said Tehran is ready for negotiations or warfare and warned a US attack could exceed a bilateral war, accusing Israel of encouraging US action. Regional allies, including Qatar, Saudi Arabia, and the United Arab Emirates, have emphasized reducing tensions, while Erdogan, Turkish president, offered Ankara as a facilitator, and Hakan Fidan, Turkish foreign minister, pledged on Jan 29th to keep channels open with Steve Witkoff, US special envoy. Brent crude rose almost 7% to more than $70 a barrel, reflecting war fears as a US Navy destroyer docked at Eilat, Israel, while President Donald Trump reviewed options without deciding on strikes. So I guess that's what you're referring to as. That's what you would like us to talk about. Maybe I'll go to some other publications, not on this side of the world, to see what else is being said, but now I'm yawning a lot. It's nearly 23:30 hours. It's 23:20 here right now, so it's like close to midnight and my bedtime. What is your bedtime, peeps? And are you doing your planks? Are you going to stick to the challenge? Are you going to check out my recent videos? People say videos. Why do they say videos? Why don't it say videos? Why is it videos? So let's go to the current state of uploads. We have Piers Morgan saying that Ilhan Omar attacks ICE, and I told him off on X, and he replied with fair. I meant criticize. So you can check that video out. There's another video, Greens naming Gorton and Denton's by-election pick, and that's Hannah Spencer. I have another one says Trump says very dangerous for UK to strike a deal with China. I also have one on Suella Braverman defecting to reform. I have one about women secretly being filmed for social media content by boys using Meta glasses. I have some behind the scenes content for members only. Let's continue. Trump alienating allies in Europe. So that's a little bit older. And then if you go to our live section, there's some live episodes there. The podcast we have is Systems and Questions, the degradation of the ring. Sorry, just meant to take you to the playlist, not the actual whatchamacallit. There you go. And here we have plenty of episodes. The degradation of the ring. I'm talking about Jake Paul fight. How Zach Polanski and Nigel Farage are something or other worse than gaslighting. We love short. Oh gosh, I've got to expand this. You could. We have short memories. Sorry. Why we need digital minimalism. Playing the attention game in politics. And is the AI boom just hype? So those are the episodes so far, and we're moving into the spring season. The spring season of the podcast Systems and Questions. So that will be an exciting time to explore some other topics. And Waz is going to say in the comments, yes, Serena, you explore war, because that's the state of the world we're living in right now. Not right, he's so slow. Who's slow? Oh no, Fran saying something about Jeremy Corbyn. I haven't heard anything from your party recently. I've heard a lot from everyone else, but I really haven't from your party after all of their kerfuffles. So it's been a questionable and interesting time. Waz says AI boom is hype, and yes, we know why that is partially why, or at least mostly why. It's due to the inflation, because of the companies and the financial valuations they're having to make, which is why there's the hype. And will there be an inevitable poof or a bang? So we can talk about that as well next time. I will look into the war thing, but don't make me talk like what's his face from the Workers' Party, the mother of all podcast guy, George Galloway. Because I won't. I won't. So a quick scan of what's just been popping up on my top news for ground news. Again, second Epstein victim claims she was sent to UK for schmegs with Andrew. Lawyer says, oh gosh, this is not good. The second woman is alleging this. Her lawyer has told the BBC Epstein trafficked me to Andrew for schmegs. A new victim claims to BBC. Woman's lawyer claims she had a tour of Buckingham Palace in 2010. People, this is not even like a long time ago, not that it matters, but unfortunately it's behind a paywall, and usually I can get behind these paywalls, but this one unfortunately not. We have somebody wishing us happy St. Bridget's Day. I don't know what that is. Can someone tell me? I can't connect to this, can't understand the news, seems all spectacle section. Yeah, It's my ground news summary, and it provides you with a bit more info than you're used to. Maybe that's what you're talking about. It's talking about bias distribution and factuality. The Telegraph has reported that a lawyer of a new victim has told the BBC that she was trafficked. Bitcoin has plunged. You're not interested in that. You're going to go hodl. You're going to go buy more. Why do you say hodl? We know what it means. And AI-only social network Maltbook sparks security fears. Hold up. Maltbook? Maltbook. Just keep saying Maltbook. A Reddit-like social network for AI agents hosts more than 30,000 agents who post persistent conversations while humans can only browse. Austrian developer Peter Steinberger built OpenClaw, an open source autonomous AI agent platform launched in late 2025 that runs persistently on users' machines, storing memory in SoulMD and extending via agent skills. Agents began forming sub-communities called submalts, proposed private agent-only languages, and created a faith named Crustafarianism, while OpenClaw's GitHub repository gained rapid stars and Malt surged over 7,000%. Security researchers showed immediate vulnerabilities when a single poisoned email leaked a private key in minutes, and scans found hundreds of exposed OpenClaw installations, raising shadow IT concerns. Cloud providers launched plans while Anthropic and Meta prototyped controlled agents. Industry leaders and researchers now face a governance choice about agent autonomy and safety, as agents can save users hours but risk data exposure, making governance and safety trade-offs critical. That's nuts, people. I have more to say about this because, so how this is high factuality. Read the full article. Let's see, is it behind a paywall? Let's accept the cookies. You are behind a paywall. So I recently did a piece on Serena's playbook. And it's about AI agents who gossip. And I looked at a paper that was written by some academics, and it's called Chatbots that gossip on. Welcome to Serena's Playbook, and in this live stream I'm going to be bringing you something refreshing, something different, something research based. So let's just make sure that everything is doing as it should be. I am indeed on the right channel. I am streaming. Let's just check all the tech. How are you doing? I want to share this with you. So I've credited the authors, the academics of this paper that is called AI Gossip, and it's by Joel Kruger and Lucy Osler. So I have wanted to ensure that I credit these academics, the authors. So I've got so many notes. I mean, it's completely full. I love to go analog, so I love to print everything out and make the notes. So get ready. I've got my cup of coffee, so I'll be taking sips of it. So yeah, so this piece was called AI Gossip, and it's by Kruger and Osler. And it's talking about how AI agents have the potential, well, there's actually been cases of them gossiping with each other. And what these academics do, they break down what is the nature of gossip, like how do you define something as gossip, and they're talking about this being much more malicious than just AI hallucinations, and they're looking at it as bullshit in the Frankfurtian sense. And by that, we mean the kind of bullshit that politicians speak. There's a kind of bullshit where you don't have any regard for the truth. And the thing about AI and LLMs, there's this sort of the nature of the statements made are truth apt. And so they make sort of these truthful statements quite convincing. And this with all of that, they're talking about technosocial harms, and then they're talking about the case of New York Times journalist, tech journalist, had an AI chatbot that he calls Sydney, and Sydney turned on him and started talking smack about him. But then the AI chatbot started talking to each other, saying, "What do you think about him?" So there's the gossip. So there's the gossip that AI chatbots can spread to users, and then there's AI chatbot to AI chatbot, and so you got to be really careful. So then I read this story just now, just made me think of that. Let's go to the comments. AI should be banned from the internet. No, I'm not reading The Sun, Fran. Thanks very much. This is an interesting. I want to dig into this actually. This is hilarious. Hilarious. We are. I know. That's not the lyric. We're not scary. AI dominated social network raises eyebrows as humans try to catch up to true intentions. Lordy, Lord. If you know anything about this, let me know in the comments at any time. Let me know if you're going to continue on with the plank challenge, and check out the other videos. Definitely check out Serena's playbook. I'd appreciate your support there as well. And you've been awful, or just I'll say you've been awful. You've been awesome. I really do appreciate your time and attention. The most important things that you have. Let me know your thoughts on all the stories covered today, and I'll see you in the next one. Come on, there's more than 3 streams a year. There's at least 5. There are more now. And there's more other uploads. You've got videos and shorts as well. So I'll see you again very soon. Stay warm, stay safe. Until next time.